Justin Trudeau has done it again. Welcome back to Moose on Moose. My name's David. Today's top stories, we've got Telesat Lightspeed. Remember that satellite company that Justin Trudeau gave $2 billion? They loaned $2 billion of our money to. Well, it turns out that's a big scam. We've also got multiple doctors suggesting the MAID program to a woman who's got breast cancer. Is this the new Liberal policy? We've got a bunch of other stuff here, so let's jump into this. First up in our top story, so back in September, Trudeau and Francois Philippe Champagne came to this agreement here, $2.14 billion given to this satellite company in Canada. They keep pushing it's a Canadian company. Turns out it's owned 63%, the shareholders 63% are in America. Not exactly a Canadian company. Their headquarters are in Canada. Now, what's really stupid about this is once Mark Carney was made an advisor by Justin Trudeau to the Liberal Party, essentially doing Chrystia Freeland's work now, shortly after, it wasn't even days after, it was very shortly after, this agreement for $2.14 billion was given to Telesat Lightspeed. Now, if we look here, Mark Carney, who's this guy next to him? It's his good buddy, Telesat CEO Dan Goldberg. Huh, what a coincidence. How did that happen? This is so corrupt. Like, come on, guys. You'll both look great in orange jumpsuits. So clearly, Carney got his buddy here an inside deal here. And so what's happened since that investment in Telesat Lightspeed, a couple of things. First off, there's like stock warrants shares that he had because he's CEO and they were immediately vested or available or whatever. So he basically made $21 million instantly thanks to the Liberal government. We can take a look at Telesat on the stock market here. So where do you think they got that investment? Do you think it's over here? Where's it? Oh, there it is. It's right there. That's where. Yeah, that's right. What a load of crap. There's some insider trading going on here for sure. Just as a quick background, Telesat Lightspeed was supposed to develop satellites. They started in 2019. They at least committed in 2019 to have satellites for Canadians, for rural Canadians. We have 1 million people in Canada who need satellites in rural communities by 2024. So they're supposed to have the satellites now. Guess how many satellites they have in orbit? A whole lot of nothing. So what does Justin Trudeau and Liberals do? With such an amazing track record of not delivering on their goals, hand them over $2 billion of taxpayer money. So how this deal is structured, handed over this $2.14 billion. There's a 15-year loan, and we've got the agreement here of what it looks like. So this coming from Dan Mazier, Conservative today, this is a load of crap. We did know before getting this here that the first 5 years is interest free. I would love it if the government gave me $2 billion interest free. I'd just stick it in a GIC and then let that sit for years, give back the money, and I'd retire. Let alone if you actually invested in it and made a lot more money. They calculate that you can make $1 billion off that money over 5 years. The loan is for 15 years, and after those first 5 years, then how Francois Philippe Champagne, Trudeau, and their team structured the deal, Telesat would be giving 10% of the profits of the satellites in orbit back to the government. So Francois Philippe Champagne, he told everyone, don't worry, it's a loan. We'll be getting our money back, all of it and more. Yeah, it turns out we only get that if they actually get satellites into orbit. And considering they haven't put a single satellite in orbit, and it seems like, doesn't look like there's going to be one in orbit. Who knows? The real kicker is at the bottom of this. In this agreement here, it says the funding agreement does not include any commitment in regards to the number of households to be connected to high-speed internet. As noted in Part A, there is no associated financial penalties in this regard. They don't have to deliver anything. There's no penalty. So they can just take this money and just willy-nilly $2 billion and there's no penalty for it. What a load of crap. This is a big scam. This is money laundering at its best. This is beyond appalling. We're talking $2 billion. They could take those billions of dollars and go help so many people sleeping on the streets. But instead, we got this loser Mark Carbon Tax Carney helping his buddy, pointing at him, you're rich now, buddy. You're rich. This whole agreement, too, gets just stupider if you just look at the math, the numbers. The whole point of it is to get 1 million Canadians who live in rural Canada connected to the internet. And who has satellites that connect to the internet? It's Elon Musk with Starlink. That's already, you can go buy them at Best Buy here, $500 a piece. Home Depot, $500 a piece. I actually just Googled it and it came up with $330 direct from Starlink, from SpaceX. Just with some simple math, if there's 1 million Canadians, this would cost 300 million, 500 million, depending on the price for each unit. We could just spend 500 million, get every rural Canadian connected, and we'd be done. But instead, they'll spend 2.14 billion, 4 times that amount, to try to get some satellites into space to get them connected. This beyond stinks. This absolutely reeks of money laundering and corruption. Just another laundering avenue. Just another money laundering scheme created by the Liberals. Always remember, friends of friends, this is connected to Carney. More laundered money, of course. They don't like Elon Musk because his network already working. Every comment in here is basically talking about money laundering. Hey, Starlink, how's that for a deal? Trudeau, along with Telesat execs, need to be charged with fraud over $2 billion ASAP. Yes, they do. They should all be in jail for this. You know what's the cherry on top of all of this? So we've got Mark Carbon Tax Carney, who gets brought in as an advisor to Trudeau. Then days later, his buddy here is getting all this money for Telesat Lightspeed. Francois Philippe Champagne is trying to sell this as a Canadian company. Now, they do have headquarters in Canada, but we're finding out 63% of the investors are American. It turns out Carbon Tax Carney here, he's moving the headquarters of Brookfield, which is in Canada. He's moving it to America. So they're trying to sell this as a Canadian company when his buddy, the one who hooked him up with this cash, is moving his headquarters. If you scroll down here, Mark Carney, chair of Brookfield Asset Management. This is so beyond corrupt and stupid. I wonder if they'll smile like that in prison. Next up, we got this here. It says, BC store closed after person lights toilet paper aisle on fire. This is a superstore. Apparently it's in Mission, BC, a fire broke out. Toilet paper aisle of a real Canadian superstore has been confirmed as arson. The store is expected to remain closed for unspecified amount of time since the damage is significant. Only in Trudeau's Canada would weird stuff like this happen. They don't want to believe in climate change. I'll show them. BC specialization in arson. They had a bunch of BC citizens go to Alberta and start fires by whatever that oil and gas facilities in their eye in the bush. We've got this one here saying the Canadian dollar has reached its lowest relative value to the US dollar in over 2 decades, with the loonie now standing at just 72 cents on the US dollar. This is pretty bad. Stay away from America, folks. It's expensive road trips down there right now. Direct result of Liberal NDP coalition government policies, anti-business all the way. So there's a couple people in the comments here fact checking this, saying it went down to 68 cents in 2016. And if we look here, it does look to be the case here. Just barely, right here, just barely touched for a hair bit of time. Either way, though, it's really bad right now. You can see, like, it's really bad. This here is hilarious. Brampton City Hall councillor who was caught renting out an illegal basement apartment threatens to pursue legal action against the CBC.
With questions outside City Hall chambers, he denied owning the property and threatened us with legal consequences.
You're going to get a legal letter from a lawyer. I don't own this property. Anyone coming after my family, coming after them. I'm going to break it. So if that's the question you want to ask, good luck.
He denied owning the home despite public property and mortgage records that prove otherwise. A day after seemingly being less than truthful about the situation, he admitted owning the home for a short period of time. Again, though, property records show he's still on title.
This guy's still on title and he just says he doesn't own the house? What a liar. There's a huge problem growing in Brampton. The media isn't ignoring it. It's almost like CBC sees the painting on the wall and has tried to win back Canadian citizens' viewership. I think it's a little too late. At least this is real journalism calling out corruption in the government. Officials get away with way too much. Yeah, it's exactly what we're starting to see. A few more stories. They're going after the truck drivers and stuff now too, giving out illegal truck driving permits and stuff. But CBC has already burned the audience. We don't trust them anymore. They won't get that trust back. We've got this. So Senator Don Plett, it says a woman here in Nova Scotia with breast cancer and autoimmune disease says she was asked by an unfamiliar doctor if she knew about MAID. Would you believe this? So this gets crazier, but I'm going to play the video. So if you thought the situation in Canada was bad, it's worse than you probably thought.
The National Post recently ran an interview with a woman living in Nova Scotia who has breast cancer and a history of autoimmune disorders. She was just about to have a mastectomy and was giving her health history to an unfamiliar doctor. She was asked if she knew about medical assistance in dying. Unbelievable. 15 months later, a different doctor asked her the same question, just before rolling her into surgery for her second mastectomy. Just before rolling her in. Leader, I want to be clear, this woman does not say she was offered assisted suicide. However, she thinks it was completely inappropriate to raise it. I would agree, Senator Gold. Does the government you represent agree with this woman?
Senator Gold.
Legislation that we passed in the Senate, that indeed we amended in the Senate, that was brought forward by the government, has put into place serious safeguards to ensure that Canadians who are seeking who may be seeking access to medical assistance in dying are nonetheless protected in the fullest way possible. the responsibility of the federal government to put in place the legal framework is something that we all participated in, and I think we did the best job that we could. It is also the responsibility of the provinces with exclusive jurisdiction over health care.
Oh, cut the word salad, man. It's disgraceful what happened here.
To oversee and manage and have responsibility for how their doctors and nurses and healthcare professionals implement the healthcare policies proper to their province. So again, in that regard, I think the question should properly be directed to those who are responsible for those medical professionals who were involved in this.
Senator Platt.
Pass the buck, pass the buck, pass the buck. That's your slogan.
Yes.
My answer to this lady clearly will be no, you do not agree with her. That's what I will let her know. She said there are people who have conditions like mine, who don't have a big, happy, loving family or financial or emotional support. And if those words are said to them when they're lonely and alone, if my life were like that, I may not have had the strength or courage to either pretend that question didn't exist or just say, no, I don't want to talk about it.
Senator Gold. Thank you, Senator Platt. Thank you,
Wow.
Senator Gold.
10 seconds. Because
Wow, Senator Platt is he's pissed. He's cut off there.
I don't know the circumstances under which the question was asked or not. As I said, no one should be encouraged against their will to seek that alternative, which is a choice of last resort for those who do avail themselves of it. In that regard, my answer simply is that the medical professionals need to show sensitivity and care for those under their care.
This is appalling. Like, this is a new low. Like, when you think things couldn't get any worse in this country with the healthcare system, this is just a new low. So she has cancer. She goes to an unfamiliar doctor. They tell her about MAID. 15 months later, goes in for a second mastectomy. And again, she's told about MAID. Who's pushing this in this system? That's what we got to know here, because clearly this is coming top down. Is it Mark Holland at the top there saying, yeah, just push the MAID on people. We want to get rid of some of these people. Are they just trying to flush out all the Canadians that are here and trying to replace us with people from overseas so they can try to just flip it to a fully liberal country? It's not working. They brought in all these people thinking they'd be liberal voters. It's not happening. It's not working. Most of them are going conservative. There's some of them NDP. They're not voting liberal. They picked up pretty quick that the liberals are lying scumbags. In my opinion, the doctors must be getting bonuses for making the MAID suggestion. Otherwise, they would not be doing. Yeah, that is right on the money. The solution to this problem is obvious, but uncomfortable. Name the such doctors RCMP. It should be illegal to offer MAID. All politicians and doctors who push this should be subjected to it. Follow the money. I wouldn't be shocked if they're being paid by the government with our taxpayer to push it. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either. Next up, we got this one from Rick Perkins. Says former Trudeau minister testifying today for the third time on his role in the $400 million green slush fund, the SDTC scandal. 3 appearances because he refuses to answer questions. Question 1 is, where do you work? Check this out.
This committee did not feel at the end of the last meeting, or at least a majority of the members, that you were actually making an attempt to answer the questions. And we had a long discussion about whether our privilege was breached. And we've decided, on the suggestion of a number of members, to give you another shot and see how it goes today. So with that in mind, I'm going to ask some similar questions to what I did before, and I appreciate your opening statement. But before I ask those, I just want to get a clarification. You work at Rogers currently. Could you explain to me what your title and role is, please?
Thank you very much again, Chair, for the opportunity to speak here today. As I've indicated, the topic that I was asked to speak on was Sustainable Development Technology Canada, and I look forward to answering questions pertaining to that topic.
So here's the first answer. Very simple question that you didn't answer.
Yeah, just hold on, Mr. Perkins. Mr. Baines, you're saying you can't provide your current employment title and location? I mean, that does seem a bit, well, unusual.
Put him in jail. That's a former liberal, that guy. He needs to go into jail because that's where he belongs. Follow the money. Nobody gives away millions without something in return. At what point do we check his overseas bank account? Perhaps he won't answer because it further implicate him in foreign interference. Too bad you can't hold him in a jail cell for this. Canadians are pissed off. Like, there's going to be a mutiny in this country if they don't clean this crap up soon. How long do we put up with this crap? My question is, how do they get away with it? Next up, we got a couple guys here stealing a Ferrari and BMW during a home invasion in Markham. This was quite literally like 3 days ago. These are those cultural enrichers Justin Trudeau's brought in. Oh, a whole gang of them. They look like friendly fellows. Bring all their power tools. They got like a hammer, a couple of hammers, a chisel. There we go. Nothing like a good, wholesome home invasion. They knew where to pick them. So I'm guessing they steal the one out of the back and the Ferrari at the same time? Yep. But you can try to get that out that way? Jeez. He's got some driving skills. You got to give him that. Oh, they're stealing this car too. They getting that? Yeah, they're getting in that one too. We need to get this disease out of our country. Like 10 years in jail for this stuff, and it should be hard manual labor for those 10 years, with zero chance of going back to whatever country they came from. Digging ditches, cleaning sewers, anything like that, anything that Canadians don't want to do or is very expensive in our country, that's what we should be getting these guys to do. Like, why not be really tough on crime? Why not 10 years in jail for doing this stuff? I don't understand. To me, it's very much common sense just to severely punish these people so they never want to do it again. Who would want to risk stealing a car and have to do 10 years of hard labor work, 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day for a car theft? They just wouldn't do it. They go to another country. Deport these scumbags. They were arrested and immediately released. The police apologized for the arrest and will be sending monetary reparations before the end of the day. People need to start arming themselves. Canadian government isn't doing anything for us. I mean, we almost need to start doing citizens arrest and handle this ourselves. The cops aren't doing it because they can't. They're just going to follow the law so they don't get in trouble. So it's just a free land of stealing here in Canada. We got this one here. We've got this guy, high risk Manitoba bad guy offender. Gary Edwards Jr. is out on release, allegedly entered a girls' university dorm room on Friday night and did bad things to the girls in those dorm rooms. And yeah, I can't see those words, but you can see them on the screen here. I mean, this is Trudeau's Canada. Just let these disgusting, vile beasts roam around. Even after you've captured them, just let them back out so they can go terrorize more Canadians. The judge must feel so proud. There's no safe place in BC. Elections have consequences. Some updates here on the Hindu temple attack in Canada.
The recent attacks in Brampton and Surrey are horrifying for me as a Canadian. This is the first broad daylight attack on the devotees in this country. The response from the police was disgusting. They acted as the arm of the Khalistanis. They attacked the Hindus. They did not push the Khalistanis off. They were attacking the Hindus in their own mandir. People from Peel Police were going crazy, were throwing punches at Hindus. It's a terrible precedent, and this has been set for the last couple of years. The crazier and the more violent you are, the more you're allowed to get away with.
Khalistani groups attacked Hindu Sabha temple in Brampton to oppose the visit of Indian consulate teams for life certificate camp. 30 to 35 Khalistanis passed inside the temple and attacked Hindu religious devotees with sticks, poles and clubs. This incident has been condemned by leaders of all political parties, including Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Indian High Commission came up with a release condemning the attack on Hindu temples and also confirming that similar incidents took place in Vancouver and Surrey, where life certificate camps were organized. In Surrey, RCPM has detained 3 Hindu boys instead of acting against the Khalistani groups. This is being seen as complete failure of law and order in Canada, as till now, since last few years, Khalistani groups used to protest outside temples or diplomatic missions. This is for the first time that they went inside and attacked people. Eyewitnesses have confirmed to CNN News 18 that this has been done to oppose the Indian teams visiting temples. Temple management has demanded proper investigation in the matter. They have to say this needs to be probed if Khalistani groups have asked for the permission for protest, and if yes, then why adequate police protection was not given to the temple. People are calling law enforcement authorities biased and inclined towards the Khalistani groups. This further raises concerns about safety of Hindus visiting temples, as many of the Hindus are in fear after this incident. Mayor of Brampton, Patrick Brown, has asked for a legislation to ban protest outside religious places in Brampton area. This is also happening at a time when India and Canada's diplomatic ties have got downgraded, and Canada is asking India to cooperate in Nijjar killing, where India is asking for evidence from Canada. Both India and Canada are engaged in war of words, where on Friday, Indian side summoned Canadian diplomat to hand over a note of protest against Canadian Foreign Minister for leaking name of Indian Home Minister to American media.
Just when you thought this whole situation was going away, it's not. Canadian newcomers blocked Toronto downtown busiest intersection last night to celebrate Diwali. They were spotted doing burnouts and lighting fireworks until 2 a.m. Of course, they had no permits for this unlawful celebration. If you guys want to see videos of that, of all the battling that's going on between the Khalistanis and the Hindus, I have that all on my second channel. I have a full video on that, which I'll link up at the end. Jumping over to my group here, let's see what memes we've got today. Just a reminder that Earth doesn't have a cow farting problem. It's got a greedy, psychopathic oligarchy trying to control the food supply problem. This is true. More people need to plant food in their backyards to start growing things. I once grew 70% of my own food just in a small yard that I ate year round. I had to buy about 30% of my food, but it's, you know, food bill goes down quite a bit. The best part is you know what you're getting to eat because it's coming right off your own land. And even today, I just pulled some fresh quince right off the ground that came off a pineapple quince tree out there. Can't beat the free, fresh food. Welcome to Canada. Somebody captioned me saying, come on, just pew him in the leg. I mean, he's a home invader. Why do we put up with this stuff? The cops should have two different pews, one that shoots those beanbag rounds that's not gonna, it just bruises or whatever. Do that. Just unload that into the guy, knock him down and cuff him. But I mean, if you have to, put it in his quad. He'll be fine. It'll hurt. He'll recover. But I mean, it's a home invasion. We shouldn't have lax rules for these people. They need to be put in jail and be put to work, making money for the country, building stuff. I should note, I used to live in downtown Vancouver and I had many different people chase me, and 3 thugs came at me at midnight as I was going into my door, and luckily the lock didn't get stuck. I was able to open it, quickly get in. As soon as I shut the door locked. It was one of those ones with bars on it. They kept on shaking the door and trying to break in. I had to come down with my katana to educate them on what would happen if they did break in. I don't like criminals. Let's just put it that way. Criminals belong in jail. I don't like when people threaten me. I don't like feeling unsafe. I don't like people randomly grabbing the back of my jacket and throwing me against a wall, which is another thing that happened. I've been attacked by criminals multiple times. My comment here stands. Pew him in the leg. He'll survive. Get him to work in the jail. He'll learn his lesson after 5 years in jail for a home invasion. I will keep on lying to keep my job. New data reveals the extent of Canada's homelessness crisis. Yeah, so these are wild numbers. 234,000 for population 14 million versus 180,000, 39 million in California. This is disgraceful. This is Trudeau's legacy right here. So there we have it. Justin Trudeau's newest scandal, whether you want to call it Green Slush Fund 2.0. I mean, this one's so much bigger. We're talking like 5-6 times bigger than the SDTC Green Slush Fund. This makes the Arrive scam look like child's play. I don't know if they're trying to test Canadians to see how much they can steal before Canadians stop paying taxes. I'm pretty sure they're right at that saturation point. I'm guessing there's not going to be a lot of tax revenue coming in the next tax season, mostly because I keep reading those comments. I'm curious to see how the Conservatives will respond, what they can do to respond to this. Obviously, we're going to need a forensic audit after Pierre Poilievre gets in power. We need to get some of these fools in jail.